there. You know what that means? It means it's freaking football season. Sean
Damn right.
Salisbury, once again, joining us here on If You Don't Like That. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. Great to be back with you. I love it, man. How are you?
You know what? Anytime I can talk to you, I'm in a good mood. I can tell you that right now, buddy. Hey, I like your new background and everything. You're looking sharp, man. You're looking
Thank you.
good.
I needed to shave, but I just figured I'd go ruggedly handsome for this one. But feel great, dude. Down 50-some pounds.
Wow.
Through hard work, and I don't eat past 6 o'clock. How's that for a little pat on the back to get going? And hired a trainer and getting after it. So I'm
Really?
about 15 pounds away from my playing weight.
Wow.
So I feel energized, and I will have something, an announcement in the next few days for a new national, on the national scope. Let's just put it that way. That'll be really cool. So I'm pumped up, brother. Everything's good, man. And we started this football season, and being back with you is always a great thing.
All right, let's get right to it. First of all, if you lose 15 more pounds, I may call up Joe Shane and see if we can give you a tryout for my Giants, but we'll get to that later. All right, last night.
Don't hit me. If I can be not hit, I can still throw it.
I want to start with the Jets defense. That's supposed to be the strong part of their team. Robert Saleh, defensive coach. I mean, the 49ers manhandled them up front. I mean, listen, you got a guy that most people had never heard of before in Jordan Mason looking like, Walter Payton in his prime. I mean, good Lord, what happened to the Jets defense? To me, that was the most surprising take of the game last night.
Yeah, and of the three, there was probably 3 or 4 things that stuck out over the weekend. How bad Deshaun Watson's playing. How the not only that, but how easy it was. I mean, the front seven got pushed around by the Colts as well, and then Joe Mixon added here in Houston, and then this was one of them too. I was shocked, to be honest with you, Grant. I had them winning the division. I do. I think that now New England's they're going to be held because they're playing hard. I mean, they're not overly talented. And then Miami, we know they can score. How physical are they? We're going to find out as the season wears on. And Buffalo, God forbid anything happens to Josh Allen, because I'm not sure what that franchise will do without that guy. He's doing everything. And then you got the Jets, who have as good a roster. Miami's got one too, but as good a roster as there is in that division. I was shocked that they got bullied. That's a strength of their team. Defense. Robert Saleh is going to be hot seated if this. I mean, he already is, Grant, but they've got to pick it up and they'll play better. Listen, we overreact to everything in the first week of the season, but we only got one game to watch, and that one game to judge them on, and that was not. And you can't do that against the 49ers. And I assure you, the 49ers are not pleased. They're pleased with their run game and not pleased with the fact they kicked a bunch of field goals and didn't score a lot of points, right? 6 field goals, Grant, I think it was last night. So, but the Jets will get better and more explosive. But it was shocking that they were pushed around and bullied so much.
Well, listen, if they lose to the Titans this week down in Nashville, Robert Saleh and Aaron Rodgers better start getting some earplugs, because the tabloids and the fans will be ruthless. Sean,
that coupled with the Giants. That coupled with the Giants in the Meadowlands area, Grant. The football season, the New York fans are going to obliterate in the media if this continues for both of those franchises. I can tell you this: the Jets have a far better chance at overcoming this than the Giants do. We know that their team. I mean, but I just can't see, if Aaron Rodgers is healthy, that he'll have a poor season. It's just you could tell he's still not moving like we're used to seeing it, Grant. But you're right. Not only earplugs, but somebody will have to go during the season. You know how that goes, man. They'll get rid of somebody during the season if something doesn't get taken care of fast. And it was a awful, not a good start for either franchise, at least in week 1.
What does it say about training camp when a guy like Trent Williams can have a couple of practices and play as well as he did last night? A guy that you have a lot of respect for, and I do as well, and he was a guest on my show for many years, Brian Baldinger, on Baldy's Breakdowns, isolated Trent Williams during the game last night, after the game. And, he looked like he was as good as he can play. I mean, he was unbelievable.
You know what, Grant? It used to be, and I've tried to figure out how that can. I mean, look, Mixon didn't play. I mean, you keep using him, but he's been such an important pickup for the Texans and their run for this AFC stuff, which is wide open, not named the Chiefs. He didn't play in the preseason, and he looked as fresh as could be. Yep. So there's that, young players need rookies to understand how fast this friggin' game moves, even from college, if you're a Power 5 school, to the NFL. But veterans who've been around, especially at positions like Trent ain't going to forget how to block or what it takes to get ready to play. I trust pros that know. Now, if there's some guy who comes fat and out of shape into camp on a regular basis, different story. But pros know how to take care of it. And I think, Grant, it used to be, this when in my era, you'd be 5-week training camp or whatever. You'd go and the practice is 2-a-days in pads, physical. You had to be in shape, it was a grind every day. It's not the old boomer, old school stuff's more important. But I'm going to tell you why he can plug himself in and play. And these guys, because, well, first off, all the off-season conditioning with all the trainers and stuff and the way they can look after themselves. But, Grant, they don't hit in practice for the most part anyway. So it's not like it's new to you. Oh, my gosh. How many times are you dragging Joe Mixon to the ground in a preseason game? Or is Trent Williams burying somebody other than 4 or 5 plays in a 9-on-7 drill where we thump? You don't want to drag anybody to the ground. So the truth is, old school is like, damn, I'm behind the pads and the physical. I'm not used to it. Well, now, just as long as your cardio's in shape and you've done your off-season stuff, you can get that thing quick. Why? Because they're not killing you in practice. You don't practice 2 practices in a row in gear, let alone 2 days in a row. So that's a big reason why. And there is something to be said for those Niners we've talked about, Grant, all the years you've been in Sacramento, back when Bill Walsh and Seifert were there. And you know what they did? About 7 or 8 games in, they'd get out of pads, so they had fresh legs in December. Well, Trent Williams is going to have fresh legs all year. If he stays, there's something to be said for that, because I love the physicality of it, but we're past that and we're never going back. They're just not physical enough, so you can be a guy. You're basically playing in shorts and a T-shirt a lot of times during training camp, so it's a pretty easy adjustment for a pro who gets it.
All right, Sean, take me into the locker room. I know you're a big Raiders fan. Fourth quarter, Antonio Pierce has the ball on the Chargers' 43-yard line. It's 4th and short, and he punched the ball. I got to tell you, Sean, I'm very critical at times because I think coaches go for it too much, and I think they get too careless. But in that situation, I was baffled by that. Your thoughts?
Me too. And Grant, where did I know you love his energy, and so do I. And I've known Antonio.
What does it do to the guys? What does it do to the offense? Is what I wanted to ask you. Like, you're the quarterback, you're an offensive lineman, you're Devontae Adams. You're like, Jesus Christ, the coach has no confidence in us to gain 1.5 yards. Come on now.
And that does hit quickly. And just reverse it the other way, Grant. When you go for it, even if you don't get it, you know what they say? The guy believes in us. It happened last year to Miko Ryans early in a game. They got one, didn't get another. And it showed that I said, I believe in these rookie Stroud. I believe in what we're doing. We didn't get it, but I'm going to tell you, show up ready to go and get this shit again. That's how they're approaching it. And so, listen, I thought it was a mistake of a decision. And here's what happens. I'll guarantee you, if Antonio Pierce, and I believe this, or if that was Kyle Shanahan, what would he have done? Offensive coach. Think about it. You know what? Because you trust the guy. You just do. You know what he's telling his defense? I trust you to get us what? Get us back off the field, get us the ball back, right? And it will go up.
I got you.
Well, you got your, Minshew, and you got, the backup quarterback. It's simply, and if you're an offensive lineman, you are saying, or an offensive player, you're saying, okay, we still got a lot to prove to him because he didn't trust we get out. He trusts the defense more than us. We got to fix it. But there is that part that's like, damn. And just forget the emotional side or the psychological side with your players. You had to win a football game, and listen, I at least want to go down with a row in my hand, right? And now, if you don't get a couple stops, then you're done. So, and he'll learn. Hell, I get it, but the coach's number one job in a game is to give your team the best chance to win. And I kind of felt in that situation. I love, and I do, but I felt in that situation he took the ball out of their hands, not just literally, but figuratively, and put a little stress on them. They're not ready for that. But I can tell you, if it was an offensive coach, he's going, and a lot of defensive coaches may have done the same thing, that say, I trust my defense, depending on how good you think they are, and build their ego. But as an offensive player, you're like, come on, man, next time this rears, I promise you next time that won't happen. You learn valuable lessons during the growth of an unpaved road.
Sean, you made a great point. We all overreact to week 1, and I think even week 2, week 3, and to a degree week 4, but particularly week 1 and week 2. However, me personally, I've been very consistent with my comments about Lamar Jackson. He keeps me on the edge of my seat. I love watching him play, but I don't see any way that he takes this franchise to the Super Bowl. And I thought the final sequence at Kansas City on Thursday night, missing an open, likely in a corner, not an easy throw, but a throw he should make. And then on the next play, Zay Flowers is wide open and the ball is delivered not even near him. That is the problem I have with Lamar Jackson. You've got to be able to make those throws, Sean. You have to. And I just don't think he can.
Right. You know what's crazy? And Grant, I'm with you. I watch him and I marvel at his skill set. I do. And Yeah, he's become a better passer. He'll make, he'll push it. What people say is his arm strong enough. Hell, I've seen the guy throw it a country mile. He's got plenty of skills, but there's a difference, between having skills and in certain moments being able to make the throw on schedule that's necessary. Grant, I've talked to a lot of people about him because I don't want to. I'm not a fence sitter with him. I know he's gifted, but I'm with you. I sit there and say, okay, is there that it factor, and not just it for him, it that elevates everybody else in a situation like that? If this rears its head in an AFC championship game, can he do this? And when people say, well, he's done it before. Baltimore Ravens apologists will say it in Lamar Jackson. You don't have to. Hey, listen, I'm not.
But he hasn't done it before.
Right.
In the biggest of games, he has not played well.
What's the difference the MVPs, don't misunderstand me, but what's the difference in January between him and Prescott, him and Cousins, him and Josh Allen? They're the
great
same moments, right? And I'm not dogging. It's hard to do. Hell, we could pick 5 quarterbacks that feel like they've won the last 30 Super Bowls, right? Brady and Roethlisberger, and it just feels Mahomes, right? But the truth is, there is something different about that, and I'm with you. I always think I know he can make this play, and then they just keep falling short. So you got to say, okay, what is it? Well, what is it? Is it the offensive coordinator's fault that you missed an open throw? No. I even saw people deflect on Derrick Henry. Well, it's not his type of offense. We got Derrick Henry's washed. And I'm like, whoa, slow down. So they do put a lot of burden on Lamar. He'll put up numbers, and he's special. But the truth of the matter is, if you're not questioning if he can make that throw at that time on a clean pocket for 8 straight minutes in the fourth quarter, if you're down 10 and need it, I've seen him come back. We're talking about – I know them all. You're not talking about in Game 7. You're talking about in Game 1 or Game 2 in the January when you got to do it. And there are plenty of people, the majority of people I talk to think he's a great talent and player and quarterback, but they're also feel, and a lot of them trying to put their finger on it, me too. What is missing? Why does he miss that throw or those decisions or throws at that time? And Grant will find out, but I'll tell you what, if I was a betting man right now, considering the gauntlet of quarterbacks in this league, and you said, Sean, you got to bet 10 grand that he'll win a Super Bowl because he's in the same era as some pretty friggin' good players, and he's one of the great ones. Would he win a Super Bowl? I'd bet no.
I would bet no too.
I love Harbaugh. I think Baltimore's a damn good franchise and a damn good team, and I'd like Lamar on my team. But something's missing that certain guys will make and some guys won't. And unfortunately, he just hasn't made it at certain times, yet I still hold him in high regard. And I'm with Cody. Derrick Henry is going to contribute. I assure you, he is going to beat defenses down. And I'll tell you why, because Lamar's going to soften him up with those legs. And then when you just get tired of getting softened up and you're on your heels, Derrick Henry's going to carry the ball like 10, 15 times in a row in the third and fourth quarter and beat your brains in.
I'll tell you, speaking of beat your brains
Derrick
in.
Henry's washed crap, right.
If Lamar plays the rest of the season the way he did on Thursday, I don't think he's going to remain healthy. I think he took too many hits. I mean, I don't see that being that's not a recipe for success. All right, I want to move on real quickly.
It's real quick. Riley, Josh Allen as well. Guys like that, no matter how big they are, you cannot continue to take those because eventually one of them gets you, and they're no good to me on the sidelines hurt.
No. Riley, just so you know, the 49ers were in full disclosure. They had Christian McCaffrey on the injury report all week as questionable, so there's not going to be any fine.
Right.
There was a lot of poor quarterback play in week 1. A lot of the networks were talking about it. They always use the excuse, well, they don't play in the preseason. Well, they didn't play in the preseason last year or the year before, and the numbers were way up. Is this just an aberration in week 1, or have we dropped in quarterback play in the National Football League a little bit? What's your take? Just an odd week?
I'm going to lean on the odd week aberration, Grant. I look around. Rodgers will get better. Maybe Lamar makes that throw next year. I can't imagine that Will Levis is going to make the stupid decision on the sideline. I start to go through the quarterbacks. Hell, Brock Purdy was good, but Brock's going to play better. He just is. So the list. We only had two quarterbacks throw for 3 bills. Stafford and I think Tua. And on my show this morning, Grant, I said even before Belichick was talking about the quarterback numbers, I didn't even look at the numbers, but my naked eye, because I'm watching them all Sunday like you are, it felt like teams were committed to protecting young quarterbacks and even some like new starters of running the football more, playing defense. It was the first time I've seen in a while on an opening game of the season where it felt like more coaches were going in there saying, we're not going to let a quarterback lose this one. We're going to try to win it some other way. Now, Are they going to expand the bandwidth of offenses? Absolutely. But it almost felt like a macho thing, too. We're going to run it. We're going to show you we're physical, and then our quarterback play is going to come. Well, this quarterback play, probably the overall, was one of the worst overall that I've seen as far as quick decisions and accurate throws with clean stuff. But I'm leaning on the aberration. We got too many good players in this league for me to think that this is the way it's going to be. But I tell you this, it looked like defenses were also flying around and knocking people around. And they're so specialized now, they're creating mismatches even for guys in situations that they couldn't block Micah Parsons. I mean, you couldn't block him. So, and he's one of many.
Yeah. Sean, before Deshaun Watson took a snap for Cleveland, you had him as a top 5 quarterback in the NFL.
When he left Houston as a player, that's exactly right.
That's correct. And I'm not even going to get to now another civil suit being filed because I have no idea what's going on with that. So let's right now.
On the field stuff. Right.
Yes. He was out of football for 2+ years, right? And you thought that he would take a little while, but that he would get back to where he was. Clearly, he is not even close to where he was when he was the quarterback of Houston.
Great.
Should the Browns fans give up on him?
Grant, I'll raise my hand when I feel like I've missed on something, and it's not just those 2 years out of football, but also then the injury. So it's almost like he keeps getting set back. You know what I mean? Yeah. And no matter how, timing, but just the speed of it, no matter how good you may be, that there's still a curve there, right? A learning one. I'm actually shocked by his play. Now, I start to think, Grant, well, is it the stuff off the field that's starting to that it's just bogged him down, that psychologically and emotionally that it's beat him down? Now, there's 230 million reasons why, and the guy got that before he even took a snap, after he had a contract that he never even hit when he was with the Texans. He'll play better, Grant, but I'm going to tell you this. If he continues to play like this, where it's just the Dow Jones up and down, it will be considered as bad a trade as we've ever had in NFL history. I'm going to tell you why. Hey, think about it.
Hey, I had him as a top 5 quarterback too,
yes,
Sean. I was right with you on that. I thought
he earned it on the field. He was playing out of his friggin' mind.
Agreed.
And then all the stuff, and now it's like he's indecisive. He's not as the quick twitch doesn't seem there, at least like we're used to seeing, and maybe that's still feeling his way through it. I feel like the people aren't rallying around him. I don't know. I'm going to keep watching closely because I thought, well, this guy, he's one of those guys that everything rolls off him. He doesn't care what's going on. He's just a great player. Well, if it's not a mix with Cleveland, but they got good players too. I don't know why that. So, Grant, I put it this way: all the starters they got in Houston now from that trade, guys, and look at their elevation, then you flip it to Watson and say, okay, Cleveland thought they had it, and they don't have him. Right now, that if you're Andrew Berry and you're the owner and you're the head coach, Kevin Stefanski, and in private places, people aren't in their meeting rooms that we don't hear about, there is no friggin' way they're not looking at each other saying, did we blow this? Because fans are already saying it, Jameis Winston. Now, again, overreaction, yes. But if this trend continues, it will go down as one of the, and 230 million, it will go down as one of the worst trades on the planet. And there's no way in hell any of us thought he'd play this poorly on a roster that's better than the one he had here when he was here. So I don't know if it's the event, Grant, when you start to burden all that stuff, and a lot of it's self-inflicted by him, and and I don't know, is his focus on football anymore? I don't know. He's playing like just a guy, not that guy. And just a guy ain't worth 230 million. And I can find 15 Deshaun Watsons in the league. And so 3 years ago, top 5, top 6, yes. Right now, I wouldn't put him in my top 15.
I wouldn't put him in my top 25. I don't think.
That's exactly right. I can roll through a bunch of guys before I mention his name. Things got to change for him.
Things are pretty bad when the Browns are calling for Jameis Winston. All right, your thoughts. We talked a lot about this. Where would Caleb Williams go in the draft? How good would he be? It wasn't a thing of beauty. They found a way to win. But what was your assessment of his first game?
I thought he was, throwing the football on schedule. That stuff's it's gonna take time, Grant. Yep, he's regardless of the fingernails and all the stuff where the people that drive people crazy, what kind of purse he wears. I'll paint his damn nails if he can win games for me if I'm on his team. I don't give a damn, right? My thing is, does he lead? Is there buy-in? And is he a playmaker? And really, Grant, even though Jaden Daniels, who was the best player last year in college football, for the last 2 years of college football overall, who's been the best offensive player in football? It's been him. I mean, they had to score 40 at USC and still get beat, right? I mean, let's face facts. He was a great college player. I think he's going to elevate him because he's dynamic and he's precise. Now, in order to get where they're going to want to go eventually, where the Bears haven't been in some time, is, good from the pocket, get to the Super Bowl. But he is going to make them better just on the sheer fact that he's such a creator and a playmaker, and he's a dynamic, and he's strong and physical. And it appears to me, and I like the fact that even through his struggles, he found a way to get it done and beat a pretty good team that was supposed to beat them. I think he's really good. Jaden's going to struggle, but I think he's going to be good. And Bo Nix, I saw something good in all three of them at different times, but the combined three of them averaged like 3.2 yards per attempt, or at least on the catch. So you could tell all three coaches were playing it sideways and safe. But all three of them, for those teams to win, are going to have to quit playing like rookies once they get into about October. But I was impressed with Caleb Williams on some of the things he did. Chicago fans got the most gifted quarterback they've ever had, no doubt.
Final thing for you. You mentioned USC last year in their defense. I got to tell you, Sean, that game against LSU, I saw a USC physicality on defense that I had not seen at all of last year. And I don't want to go too crazy on a short sample size, but that looked like a completely different defensive mentality to me.
And it's not just the stats, it's the way they're flying to it. That's not hyperbolic, Grant. You are 100% correct. I think of the first couple weeks, two of the big things that stick out for teams, and they're playing each other at the Big House in a week from this Saturday, is the difference from last year, this year, the offensive personnel in Michigan's going to lose more than one game, I assure you. They're going to get they can't. And Notre Dame's performance against Northern Illinois, good on you, NIU. That was a phenomenal emotional victory, and good on you. And I love Notre Dame, but they find a way to do this all the time, right? Just like a lot of teams. But we got them in the top 5 or top 10, and boom, here they go. But it was great. But for me, Grant, SC's physicality in the front seven. Forget how good Miller Moss played. Just the fact that they're shooting. I mean, they are stout. We know they're athletic, but they finally got a little, some weight in their ass, and they're moving people. And LSU's got two of the best tackles in football, college football, first-round picks. They were supposed to move it. SC's physicality will be the difference. So SC's defense will be one of college football's great stories if this continues. And they will be tested because Michigan's physical. And Michigan's inability to move the ball around the field is going to get them 2 or 3 losses in the Big Ten, in my opinion. We still got the Georgias. We still got keep an eye on Texas now. You want to talk about a dynamic football team, brother.
Oh, boy.
Boy, are they good. But, it was you know what? I talked to a bunch of Trojans, former players after this. It was, we love watching Caleb and score 40. But you know what? Most Trojans want, and you talked to our guy Greg Cowett, we want that victory. You want to go out and maul people. That's how USC's used to winning. Because nowadays they spread. When SC is physical in the line of scrimmage, they're going to win a lot of games because they're always going to have perimeter players. But now that sent me a message. I'm like, damn, most of the players were shocked, and I loved the way Lincoln Riley turned it over, and what a great addition. That front seven played like they belong, that you're going to be talking about them a lot. But they'll be tested in that Big Ten, I assure you.
Sean, I appreciate the heck out of you, man. Thank you very much. Great start to this season, and we'll chat again next Tuesday.
I love it and love being on with you, brother. Thank you.
All right, good stuff, Sean Salisbury. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Absolutely love when we can have Sean on the show. It is fabulous. And I appreciate all the chat messages as well. You all are awesome, and I really appreciate all of our sponsors, and I want to just say thank you very much for their support. New Works Plumbing, they've got a fix for you. They're available around the clock. Just go to sackserviceplumbing.com or call the number on your screen. Remember, they're available 24/7 for all of your plumbing needs and repairs. That's sackserviceplumbing.com. And I hope you had a chance to get to Bennett's over the weekend and enjoy their beautiful brunch. Don't forget about their happy hour, Sips and Taste, 2 to 6, prime seafood and steaks. You go to Bennett'sRestaurants.com, make a reservation, and more. It is awesome. That's Bennett's, Sacramento, Roseville, and the West Side Grill out in Rockland. Listen, if you think things are bad, just think to yourself, you could be a New York Giants fan and watch the Giants prevent offense. Now, I have personally seen the Giants win 2 Super Bowls. January 25th, 1987 at the Rose Bowl, 39-20 over the Broncos. And then with my boys for their last Super Bowl when they beat the Patriots for the second time in Indianapolis. So, I mean, I'm good for life. You know what I mean? Like, I've done it. But I got to tell you, watching the Giants right now, oh, my goodness. Are you freaking kidding me? Oof. I mean, I don't even know how to compare that to anything I've seen in my 62 years of watching New York Giant football. Oh, my gosh. That was awful. That was absolutely awful. Man, terrible. And they play Washington this week. And the Giants have played very well against Washington with Daniel Jones, but I don't see it this year. I don't see it this year. I really don't. Hey, I want to tell you about Sunrise Landing. And if you get to CalusaSunrise.com, you'll get all the information you need on Sunrise Landing from Blazona Development. And you can check out their various models, 6 in all to choose from. Tell you know what's nice? There's no Melrose. There's no homeowners. It is adjacent to the Calusa Golf and Country Club. And, you got great access. Highway 45, Highway 20, I-5. Just go to CalusaSunrise.com and you can see for yourself. That's CalusaSunrise.com and Sunrise Landing. Appreciate you having your day centered around this show. It means a lot to me and Sean. We greatly appreciate it. And tomorrow, we'll be back with you. I'll have my open forum Wednesday. Probably looking at tomorrow, I'll probably do a 5 o'clock show, and then Rhino and I will come on at 8 o'clock. So we'll have a doubleheader for you tomorrow, all right? Appreciate you all. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your